Hey all, good morning and welcome to ShareTreck. Today is a lazy Sunday for me. I woke up a bit late, and as you can see, I'm in my casuals, and it's going to be a relaxed Sunday for me. I'm going to take it a bit easy. It's been quite hectic because it's almost 9 months since we started this channel, and I've been coming out with at least 2 videos a day. And I've been experimenting with the format, coming up with live streams in the evening, and coming up with special features. So I'm feeling a bit burnt out right now. So I thought, let's take it easy and talk about something different. Today I'm going to talk about aviation, and there's some very interesting news out there. As friends, as you all know, due to the Russia-Ukraine war, there has been sanctions. And there's an aircraft leasing company that is stuck with a whole lot of its aircrafts in Russia, and it's not getting it back anytime soon. And there's an insurance story behind it. So that's the subject of today's video. It will be interesting. It's a change from genomics, and we need to change every once in a while to keep everything fresh. So let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Today's topic is about commercial airplanes, and it's a very, very interesting situation that aircraft leasing companies and insurance companies have found themselves in with the Russia-Ukraine war and the subsequent sanctions. And today we're going to talk about that. A Dublin-based aircraft leasing company called AerCap has submitted a $3.5 billion insurance claim for about 113 aircrafts that are stuck in Russia. AerCap had earlier disclosed that it has a combined fleet value in Russia of more than $2 billion, or around 5% of its fleet. The sanctions triggered by the Russia-Ukraine war have forced aircraft leasers to cancel their deals with Russian airlines. And they have since struggled to reclaim their aircraft. So if you had to visualize the scenario, let us say this company AerCap had hundreds of planes, and it had leased it out to 5 or 6 different airlines and maybe 20, 30 different private individuals in Russia. It doesn't have an idea of where those planes are, whether they are within Russian territory or whether they're outside. But as soon as the sanctions were announced, AerCap had to terminate their relationship with all their clients who are of Russian origin. And when this happened, they immediately did not know where those aircrafts were. So they came up with a rough estimate of around 2.1 billion. But since then, they have been able to take an inventory of all their aircrafts and find out how many of them are in Russia. Now, let us imagine the scenario that they have already identified all the aircrafts that are in Russia. The status of those aircrafts is going to be that they are not with the leasers at this point of time, the companies that had leased it from AerCap, and therefore they would be sitting in the tarmac. They now belong to AerCap, and it's AerCap's responsibility to take care of these planes and also pay rent for the tarmac or the hangar in which they are. So it again introduced another bit of complication out there, because AerCap is not going to get any money from the leasers, and at the same time it has to pay for all the expenses of the aircrafts lying there, and simultaneously they're not able to send pilots and take those aircrafts and bring it back out of Russia, because Russia has not allowed them to do so. Now, this is the scenario in which we are looking at the insurance claim, and it's a very complicated situation. Fortunately for us, or fortunately for the economy, this insurance for AerCap had been syndicated heavily in UK by Lloyd's and Atrium insurance brokerage, and therefore payouts, if any, will have to be divided among those 7 insurance companies that form the consortium. So to that extent, it's going to be a bit easier. However, it's not a slam dunk case as far as the insurance claim is concerned. Many media reports have put the value of the total value of all the aircrafts insured around 10 billion, but insurance market sources put them at more than 25 to 30 billion overall. They are not fully insured, but insured exposures, assuming a war loss, could be in the region of around 12 to 15 billion, according to experts in the industry. The cover for AerCap, the world's largest aircraft leasing firm by scale, is in focus after Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a new ordinance allowing Russian airlines to continue operating without foreign licenses, which means that It's possible for those airlines which have AerCap planes leased to them where the lease is already terminated to continue using those planes for their operations. And one of the things I would like to point out here is that Russia is a very large country and it is sparsely populated. Population centers and points of interest like mines and facilities are spread all across the country, and aircrafts are essential to reach those parts. And therefore, Russia will continue to need the service of all these aircrafts, and it's quite possible that those airlines or people who lease those aircrafts from AerCap are now not paying any lease fees, and at the same time are continuing to use the aircraft. So that's also a possibility that we should keep at the back of our mind. That's because there will be a urgent need to service the travel needs within Russia. The contingent war policy of the largest aircraft leasing company is led by Lloyd's business, as I said earlier, and it's heavily syndicated in London, so that's a bright spot out there. Whether or not Russia's actions constitute a trigger for contingent war policies or could trigger loss under a number of other aviation coverages is the crucial question here. Insurers and brokers may argue that Russia's new law counts as confiscation of the aircraft and therefore triggers cover, whereas carriers would counter that as the aircrafts have not yet been physically seized, the trigger has not taken place. The broader picture is complicated by cancellation of the rest of the contingent war cover in the market for Russia by insurers due to the sanctions, something which insurers would argue is ineffective if it can be established in a court that the planes are already in the grip of peril when the cancellation notices were issued. So imagine an AerCap plane which has been leased to a Russian carrier is in flight and it has just entered the Russian airspace when the sanctions were announced. So it could already be argued that those planes were already in peril when the insurance companies had to respond to the sanctions and cancel the coverage. This gets complicated with every step that we go down the supply chain of insurance. War policies are not the only policies at risk in this event. Aircraft leasers benefit from different types of coverage which, subject to interpretation, could trigger insurance payment outside of aviation war aggregate limits. AerCap is the largest of the companies caught up in this situation, but there are others. Two more significant companies that come to mind are BOC Aviations Limited, which has 17 owned aircraft and 1 managed aircraft on lease to Russian airlines. The net book value of the 17 owned aircraft was around 589 million, and it's estimated to be around 589 million after taking into account 2.5% of the total assets net of cash collateral, the collateral that the Russian airlines have paid in order to enter into the lease. The other company is SMBC Aviation Capital Limited, which has got 34 aircraft in Russia. So those are the two other biggest aircraft leasing companies that I could find. This leads to the exposure of the insurance being well over 3.5 billion claim from AerCap. The insurance business is generally profitable, but sometimes the chickens come home to roost. Now back to AerCap. AerCap had bought GE Aircraft Leasing Unit in March 2021, and the deal was expected to close in 9 months. I don't know the current status of the deal, and I'm not sure if any of the aircrafts from that particular deal are now in Russia, and if the insurance policies were in good standing and had the proper title for claims at the point that the sanctions were triggered. So I don't know about those, but I think that at this point of time, the whole world is watching how this is going to be handled. The governments also have a responsibility at their hand. A lot of moral, ethical, and legal questions are going to be decided. If it so happens that the aircraft companies do not get claims paid by insurance companies for one reason or the other, then the credibility of the insurance companies will be in question because many companies take insurance to be sure that all their risks are covered and they can be at peace and focus on their business. And if they have to spell out each and every situation that cannot be imagined in order to get coverage, that's going to be a problem for them. On the other hand, insurance companies will also be concerned how this turns out, because insurance companies cannot visualize each and every potential claim possibility. So it's going to be difficult on both the insured and the insurer. And at the same time, for us as investors, what I take from this is that most of the genomic companies that we have in our watch list would probably have one lesson to take from this event. They have to be very careful where they outsource their R&D in order to save costs. They have to go to a place where there is educated workforce available, appropriate facilities and legislations available to protect their intellectual property. And at the same time, they have to make sure that they have insurance for situations where, if warlike situations do take place and there is a breakdown like the one that we see in the Russia-Ukraine war, then the impact to their pipeline is addressed. So that's what I would take as lessons for the genomics sector out here. But my friends, it's time to relax, and I'm going to take my time off, and it's going to be a relaxing day for me, and I hope it's a relaxing day for you also. Well, friends, if you like this video, please do not hesitate to put a like out there. It helps the channel. And if you have been watching these videos and if you're not yet subscribed, I'd request you to subscribe. It's absolutely free, and it motivates me to keep on looking at new items and bringing you videos on genomics, shares, and thought-provoking videos. So please do not hesitate. Please subscribe. Help us grow this channel. Thanks and have a great day. I'll catch up with you on Monday.